Ladies and gentlemen, it's Siadwel.
Siadwel, you're all wet again.
Hello. Everyone who goes into the church of St. in Swansea is given a shiny helmet and jacket to wear, so they can sit quietly and reflect. Yes. Oh, yes. The Reverend Harry Looyah, the vicar there, he started about 10 years and it's become tradition. No, in Wales, I think we like tradition. For us, tradition is traditional. We've got a tradition of tradition, haven't we? Just out of interest, by the way, just out of interest, how many people here read the Welshman, the newspaper, not an actual Welshman, no? Oh, everybody then. Yeah. No, it's great, isn't it? Great, in the morning when you hear that unmistakable sound of a Welshman plopping onto the mat. Oh, yeah. No, even when I was little, I liked the Welshman because of the puzzles. There was a good one today, very good one today. This is it. What social worker has got 6 legs? And I thought, I wonder if that's the one who visits Mr Gacky. I've never seen her from the waist down. She's always in the car. But it wasn't Mr Gacky's social worker. It was an ant. A social worker with 6 legs. Oh! Yeah, mind you, sad news today, wasn't it, in the Welshman? The great Welsh writer, Ysgrif bin Mawr. Yeah, Ysgrif bin Mawr's still alive. No, it's such a shock. Everybody thought he died years ago. And they found him in a flat in Rill, surrounded by Rill. But it's an interesting article about him. I didn't know that the Ysgrifbyn was his pen name. No, his real name was Hugh Janus. So I could see why he changed it, really, can't you, And he wrote some wonderful books. How Green Was My Valerie. But a woman who lives in mould. No, to be fair, he's probably best known for his children's books about sheep, and they were extremely popular. No, do you remember the one about the sheep? All the sheep who go on the rampage in the valleys? Get the flock out of my garden. Yeah, that is a great one. But I think, my favourite one, I can't remember what it's called now, was the one where all the sheep, they go off on holiday, and they went to Barbados. It was funny. The amazing thing is, he only ever wrote one book that wasn't a bestseller, and it was 101 Things You Need to Do Before You Read This Book. Didn't sell any copies at all. And he never won a chair at the Eisteddfod either. Did win a very nice coffee table, mind. Yeah, MFI Eisteddfod. No, the Eisteddfod, that's a tradition, isn't it? Cultural tradition. Obviously, we're talking about Welsh culture, I've got to mention singing, haven't I? Oh, singing. And Gravel, my girlfriend, she's a singer. Her favourite song is Men of Harlech. Many of whom she knows personally. And the thing about Gravel singing is it's much better than it sounds. Yeah. No, she told me that. I'm sure she's right. Somebody said, with Gravel, it's like having an entire male voice choir there. Not for the singing, just for the amount she drinks, but she has got a very powerful voice. It's the lungs. When she breathes in for her top note. And you know how musical notes go up to G? She can get an H. When she breathes in, you can actually feel your ears popping as all the air is sucked out of the room. At one concert, an old gentleman at the front actually passed out through lack of oxygen. Gravel saw this, wanted to help, so she bent down, gave him the kiss of life. I've never seen anything like it. His entire body inflated. And then when she took her lips away from his mouth, this old man, just like a balloon deflating, shot down the room and then flew out the window. They still haven't found him. No, she always had powerful lungs. First time she kissed me, we were still in primary school. I could actually feel my breakfast being sucked out of me. Yeah. Of course, big tradition of primary school was St David's Day, and the girls would wear the traditional Welsh costume, but there wasn't really a traditional costume for boys in those days, so I asked Miss, and she said, well, boys just wear a leek or a daffodil. So I wore a daffodil, which looked nice, but I must say, it didn't keep me very warm. Yeah, there's another tradition then when you went to big school, that if you were a new boy, you had to let yourself into the headmaster's study, sit at his desk, and smoke one of his cigars. And I discovered while I was doing this that there was another tradition that the headmaster would come in then and punish you very severely for what you'd just done, while you were being violently sick from smoking a cigar. Yeah, being a Welsh secondary school, of course, traditionally they played rugby. And I was thinking, rugby, it's called rugby because it was invented in rugby, and everybody knows that. But what if it had been invented somewhere else? In Scotland, now there's a place called Tongue. If rugby had been invented there, it would be, you come into Tongue, practice after school. Doesn't sound quite right somehow. Or what if rugby had been invented in Wetwang, in Yorkshire? Gareth Edwards, one of the finest Wetwang players Wales has ever seen. It's not right, is it? It's not right. So we should be very grateful to rugby in England. Never been there, never been. In fact, the only place in England I have been is Hereford. Yeah, I went there with Gravel. Wanted to see the cathedral. And she wanted to see the SAS, obviously. So, we went to the cathedral first, famous because they got the map of Monday there. Well, it's the only day of the week they got a map of, but it is... It is very nice, And we had Pedwar, the dog, with us, otherwise he'd have been in all day, Swansea Terrier. Yes, and when we were thinking of getting a dog, Gravel quite fancied a German Shepherd, but I said, no, let's get a dog. So we decided on a Swansea Terrier, and we went to get him from the dog breeder. The door opened, and there was a man, dressed all in black, wearing a balaclava. He said, don't worry, I have to wear this because I'm a terrierist. Anyway, so we're in the cathedral. Pedwar, he loves Gravel, he adores her. But it's embarrassing sometimes when he sniffs her in inappropriate places. I was just looking at a bit of very interesting 15th century chewing gum stuck on the floor. Turned round, there was Pedwar sniffing it in the lady chapel. And just then the Archdeacon came along. He saw what was going on. He said, oh, hello. He said to Gravel, how would you like to be taken up the bell tower? Which I thought was really nice of him, I enjoyed it. I think it was the personal touch on the whole, Yeah. So after that, we had a look round Hereford. Didn't see the SAS because he probably saw Gravel first. He thought, who dares wins? We don't be daft, man. No, you don't push it with Gravel. Or pull it. Or do anything at all to it, really, if you know what's good for you. And I know the SAS can kill a man with their bare hands, but Gravel, she can kill a man with no hands at all. Oh, yeah. A few years ago, there was an incident. And it was such an incident that I wrote a poem about it, which I called The Incident. Here it is. A well-endowed girl from Swansea said, my bra is so tight I can't breathe. So she undid the strap and her bosoms went slap and killed an old man underneath. Yeah, no, it was in the Welshman. Swansea man rushed to hospital after sustaining massive chest injury. Oh. Yeah. Oh, I knew him slightly, the old gentleman. I'd always called him Mr Jenkins, but the Welshman said the doctors pronounced him dead on arrival, so there we are. Oh, that's a bit depressing, a bit sad. Let's have something a bit more cheerful now. Who remembers Skippy, the bush kangaroo? Yeah? Yes, set in Australia. Yes. Well, now, the Australians actually got the idea for that from a Welsh television series called Slippy the Ceredigion Slug. Yeah, no, you probably don't remember it, but the story was always the same. Somebody would have an accident and Slippy would go to get help. And then about 2 years later, he'd lead the emergency services to what was left of the bodies, No, I think the Australians used a kangaroo, because a slug out there would just dry up, really, wouldn't work. Or another TV series, started out in Wales, was Little House on the Prairie, yeah? Which was based on a Welsh language series called Tŷ Bach yn y Cae. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, Wales has contributed a lot to popular culture, and unpopular culture as well. Like art, the Mona Lisa, man who painted the Mona Lisa actually got the idea from a picture called Lisa the Mona. Which was of a woman from Abertillery who was always complaining about, you know. Oh, I think people underestimate the influence Wales had on the world of culture. Food now. Black Forest Gatto. Started off as Treforest Gatto. Then the Germans got it, didn't it? The Big Mac. No, we've had Big Macs in Wales ever since it started raining, really, you know. And, of course, I have to mention Gwilym's savoury products, who pioneered the use of all parts of the animal in food processing. They don't waste anything. One of the most popular savoury dishes is made out of the skin of a chicken, skin of a sheep, skin of a cow, and the skin of a pig. Foreskin pie. It's very popular. And we've got celebrity chefs, you know, writing the best-selling cookbooks. Everybody's heard of 50 Shades of Gravy. Yeah. By Ella Hughes. Actually, she's probably best known for her first cookery book, written with her husband, Sam. Eat dinner, get thinner, with Sam and Ella. Oh. Yeah. So in Wales, we traditionally have plenty of culture, but we're very welcoming to other cultures as well, you know. Yeah, the other night I went with Gravel to a French restaurant that had just opened up in Swansea. It's called Mange. Somebody said it's called Monge. It didn't make any sense to me, I must say. Although it doesn't matter, you know, because everybody else calls it the Trifle Tower anyway, so there we are. And then I said, right, we'd like a table for two, please. And he said, by the window? I thought, he's French, he doesn't understand. So I said, no, I don't want to buy the window. I just want somewhere to sit so we can eat our dinner. So we got a nice table then next to the toilets. Or should I say, Louvre? Oh. Then he brought us the menu and he said to Gravel, would Madam like to choose? And by then, well, I was showing off a bit. I said, look, I know you're French, but actually it's, would Madam like to chew? He shook his head then, probably a bit cross, he got it wrong. He turned to me and he said, would Sir like the oysters hors d'oeuvre? And I said, I'll have the d'oeuvre, please, because I don't like oysters. And of course, Gravel wanted loads of champagne, so I asked for a big bottle, and the waiter said, would you like a Magnum? I said, no. A champagne now, and maybe a chalk ice later on. Yeah, no, it was an interesting meal. You know, Gravel had the waiter, and I had food poisoning. Shouldn't have ordered it, I suppose, but it was in French, so I didn't understand. Yeah, I should have stuck to something more traditional and had chips wrapped in an old Welshman. Oh, cheerio! Okay, well, that was called tradition. Oh, hello, Mr Gacky. How are you doing? Oh, not too bad today. Got a joke for you, Siadwel, for the programme. Oh, fantastic. Well, let's hear the joke then, Mr Gacky. Yeah, it is. Knock, knock. Who's there? Gwyn. Oh, Gwyn who? Gwyn the back garden. Climb over the fence. Get in through my kitchen window, then open the front door. I lock myself out. Very good. Well done, Mr Gacky. That's it. Thanks for that. All right, that's it. I'll see you again later. Bye. Okay, we've got one now called Going Away. Hello. You know how when you were little, you'd hold your mum and dad by the hand and they'd go, wee! We used to do that, but it was really difficult because they were both much heavier than me. Yeah, we used to do it down on the beach, Swansea Bay, you know. We'd go there quite a lot, see the pier. And Mum would shout at him and he'd go away. Yeah, and to keep the sun off me, Mum would put a knotted hanky on my head. It'd be nice if she hadn't blown her nose in it first, but... You know, and it did mean that the hot sun would sort of bake the hanky onto my head, you know, so... At the end of the day, then, I could actually lose quite a lot of hair when Mum eventually managed to detach the hanky from my scalp. But I got sunburnt anyway, because everybody did. Because everybody thought being out in the sun was a good thing, you know, as though being in extreme pain and going the colour of a cooked lobster and having half your skin peel off was somehow a sign of good health. You know, and it was agony. But we had calamine lotion. Although, again, it'd be nice if Mum had read the directions on the bottle and rubbed it on my body instead of letting me drink it. But the most important thing is going in the water. And I'd got bathing trunks, second-hand, you know, like most of my clothes, although second-hand is not strictly accurate, I suppose. Going to the beach, I'd already be wearing my trunks because they'd be dry. Although, I must say, I'd be so excited that that's not strictly accurate either. Yeah. But, of course, the big problem would be after you'd been in the sea, getting changed out of your trunks without anybody seeing anything. Yeah. So what we did, Mum would stand in front of me holding the big towel spread out like a screen. The problem with that was that Mum was only in front of me in one direction. The other direction, there'd be a crowd of people who'd all paid threepence each to Gary Price to watch me trying to keep my private parts private, you know. He'd even made a sign, roll up, see the smallest show on earth. And he was hiring out binoculars, so... because he's a businessman, Gary, always looking for a business opportunity. And if he could see an opening, and in this case he could... Mine. You know, we'd be there making money. And do you know, I think Mum was in on it. Because every day, after we'd been on the beach, there'd always be this fresh pile of threepenny bits on the mantelpiece. I asked her about it once. She said, oh, no, it's money she'd collected for charity, the Royal Society for Cruelty to Animals. I said, isn't it the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals? But she said, no, that's a different charity. I don't like them, they're not so much fun. Talking of charity, it's National Week. Raising awareness of people who aren't very strong. People like me, really. So I raise money now for National Week, although obviously I can't raise much because I'm not very strong, as I said. So actually I think probably the person who raises the most money for charity in Swansea is the Vicar of St... Yeah, the Reverend Harry Looyah. The latest thing he's doing, he's organising a religious version of comic relief called Comic Belief. Yeah. They do fundraising miracles for charity, that sort of thing, you know. So they're doing a sponsored walk on water, and modern twist with an old miracle, they're going to do a sponsored swim on dry land as well. And he's hoping for a full congregation on Sunday to pray for success, and if he gets that, that'll be a miracle as well. Actually, talking of miracles, Mr Gacky is still alive. No, it is. We went to that place in France where they do the miracle cures. Lourdes. So he went on the coach, and he went through the holy water, and he got back on the coach, and when he got back home, the light in his fridge had started working again. Yeah, so he's going again next year to see if it'll fix the gut drain around the back of the house. I told the Reverend Harry Looyah about the fridge. He said, oh, yeah. John chapter 1, verses 4 to 5. The light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness comprehends it not. Perfect description of the inside of Mr Gacky's fridge. And you know in the Bible how it says that the number of the devil is 666. Well, Gravel, my girlfriend, phoned that once. Got a recorded message telling her to go to an address in Rill. Yeah. Anybody read that story in the Welshman newspaper about the pensioners on a mystery tour? When they found out they were going to Rill, they took over the coach and drove it to Swansea. Hijacked it. Swansea jacked it, really? Oh. No, there's a shocking headline in the Welshman the other day on the front page: sexual assault on a bus. Yeah, I mean, who in their right mind would sexually assault a bus? You know, what did he do? Was it something dirty with the exhaust pipe? I mean, how could anyone stoop so low? No, I like buses. You have to get on with people. Do you know what I mean? Oh, Mum got me a T-shirt once, and on the front it said, "If you can read this, I've left my anorak on the bus." Oh. Yeah, no, it used to happen all the time, you know. So, of course, when we went on the school trip on a coach, you know, Mum wasn't expecting to see my anorak again, I tell you that. So anyway, off we went on the trip, and I should say, I wasn't sick once on the coach. 12 times I was sick. And everybody near me was getting agitated, as you can imagine, but Miss sorted it out. She said, "Siadwel, put your anorak on back to front." Use the hood as a sick bag. There we are. Everybody calmed down then. No, it worked. So we arrived, got off the coach. It was quite warm, so I took my anorak off. 2 minutes later, it's raining. So I put the anorak back on, put the hood up. That was a mistake. I wore that anorak for the next 3 weeks. I had to, it was stuck to my head. No, it was like the knotted hanky all over again. But I haven't said where we went yet, because it was a mystery trip. All Miss would say was that where we were going began with Aber. So, couldn't be Abertawe, because we were there already, but Aberystwyth, you know, Abergavenny, Aberglasney. Abattoir, it was. Yes, and if you thought that was the mouth of the River Twa, you'd be wrong. No, it's what the man said when we got off the bus. He said, "This is the abattoir, where later on all the animals are going to meet." And I said, "Oh, is it like a youth club then, for animals?" And he said, "Yeah. I suppose it is in a way. The animals that come in here certainly don't get any older, that's for sure." Then we went in. Everybody was a bit quiet on the way home, except for Gary Price, who was very cheerful. He said, "Thank you, miss, that was very educational. It's given me a lot of ideas for the summer holidays." And I had an idea for the summer holidays as well. I thought, I'll go up to Uncle Nog's farm for a couple of days. Be nice to see some animals that aren't dead. So I was packing my bag, and Mum said, "What are you doing, Siadwel? All the clothes you've packed are the ones you've grown out of. They're too small." And I said, "No, it's all right. The further away I am, the smaller I get." We did it in art. Yeah, it was true. And when I'd packed, I found Pedwar, our dog, and I said, "Come on then, Pedwar. Let's have an adventure. You and me against the world, a boy and his dog. What do you say?" And he bit me on the leg quite hard, which is a dog's way of saying no. Noises and smells, that's how Pedwar communicates. He gets on really well with gravel. No, he gets on well with everybody. He's a very friendly dog. He's always licking your face. Trouble is, you don't know what he was licking before he was licking you. Actually, I do know what he was licking before. He was licking my face, and that is the trouble. I don't know why dogs do that. It's disgusting. And I know it's disgusting because I tried it myself once, and it is disgusting. And he's a Swansea Terrier. And the thing about them is they're inbred. I don't mean they're put in sandwiches. Although in some parts of Wales they are. You know what I mean. But Swansea Terriers are very easy to train. Sit, fetch, beg. Oh, on a good day you can get more than 20 pound, and there's not many breeds can do that. No, the only thing about Pedwar that's a bit funny is whenever he passes a lamppost, he has to stop. Mind you, thinking about it, if I passed a lamppost, I think I'd have to stop as well. You know. Yeah, so anyway, went up to Uncle Nog's farm without Pedwar, but it's okay, because Uncle Nog's got a dog called Tree. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? He's got Tree, and I've got Pedwar. But he's not called Tree because he's only got 3 legs or anything. No, he's called Tree because of his bark. And it's a proper farm dog, because in no time at all he'd rounded me up, you know, like sheep. Never been rounded up before. I thought, whoa, well, now I know what 1911 feels like when it's rounded up to a pound. Oh, no, I didn't really. Anyway, Uncle Nog was there, and he said, "OK, Siadwel, first time you've been on a farm, what's that over there?" I said, "Herd of cows." He said, "Yes, I have heard of cows. I'm a farmer." Oh, you got a sense of humour, Uncle Nog. He's good. He said, "All right, Siadwel, all right, help me now with the milking." Never done it before, so there I am with a cow, and I said, "How do I get milk out of this cow?" He said, "Try the udders." So I did. I tried every udder cow in the shed. I still couldn't see how to do it. Then Uncle Nog showed me. No, he knows about cows. He has to, because you've heard of Ofsted and Ofcom. He got another one now, checking the quality of dairy products. Off milk. Work a lot with the cheese board. Go on, no. So I learned a lot while I was there, but there's one thing I didn't understand at all. All the time I was there, people kept coming up to Uncle Nog and asking him if he'd got anything for indigestion, or cough, or a headache. I said, why did they do that? He said, oh, it's because I'm a pharmacy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, going to Uncle Nog's farm always cheered me up. A bit old for that now, of course. So when I felt a bit down a couple of years ago, I thought, well, I'll go and see a counsellor. You know, and it was good. We had a very interesting conversation about street lighting and what day the bins should go out on our street, and I felt a lot better. So, I went to see him every week after that, till he said, for heaven's sake, go away. I thought, oh, that's good advice. Well, get away from it all. Like Mum and Dad did. Years and years ago, when they ran away to get married. I came home from school. There was a note on the door, dear Siadwel, but then Siadwel was crossed out and they put Milkman instead. So it read, dear Milkman, we'll be away for 2 weeks. And then there was a PS, I'll really miss your strong arms and double cream. And it was my dad who'd written that bit. Yeah. Still haven't decided where to go away myself, and that's 2 years now I've been thinking about it, because as Mr Gacky always says, you have to be careful. Things can go wrong. Like that student who got stuck in a crevice in Danarogov Caves. He was there for 12 months. It was his gap year. Actually, Gravel met Danarogov once. Oh, she'd always wanted to meet him. I said, did he come up to your expectations? He said, no, he was too short to reach them. Oh, that's it. Oh, yeah.
Siadwel was written and performed by John Sparks and produced by Pete Baker. It was an Absolutely production for BBC Radio Wales.
Oh, Siadwel, you are hopeless.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Siadwel.
What, Siadwel? You're all wet again.
Hello. There's a man in Swansea. He's the president of the Welsh Hippopotamus Society, who do a lot of work helping hippopotamuses all over the world. But in private, he actually hates hippopotamuses. He says they're fat and ugly and they got bad breath. He's really hypocritical. Oh, go on. Oh. Yeah, anyway. I've just been round to see old Mr Gacky, and the doctor says he could go any day. No, he's been constipated for a long time. So it's good news, you know. Because he's been doing as he's told, following doctor's orders, lots of fresh fruit. Although he did say to me, Siadwel, the bananas are okay, but I can't get the apples up. And on top of all that, he's terrified that somebody might send him a letter. He's got post-traumatic stress. Yeah, poor old soul. No, it never ends for him. He ruptured himself the other day. I went round to see him and there was this terrible mess on the floor. And that was Mr Gacky. Yeah, his entire body had popped out of itself. You know how sometimes you say about someone, oh, he was all over the place. Well, he was. No, it took me ages to sweep him all up and get him back into himself. Oh, dear. He's a walking hernia, basically. I said he should join a support group. You know, something like the National Trust, something like that. No, but I know he won't. Oh. Another thing Mr Gacky worries about is he's got so many things wrong with him. He's afraid he's a burden on the NHS. I tell him, look, Mr Gacky, if it wasn't for people being ill, there wouldn't be an NHS. There we are. And talking about that, actually, here's an interesting fact. Ill health is one of the leading causes of statistics. Yeah, know that, did you? Anyway, of course, nowadays what everybody says about health is, exercise. That's how you stay healthy. But Mr Gacky, but the only real exercise he ever gets is if a mouthful of tea goes down the wrong way, you know. I mean, fair enough, for him, that is an extreme sport, but... Actually, speaking of extreme sports, I knew someone who tried skydiving once, but the parachute didn't open, so he didn't try it again. Yeah, anyway, I thought, well, look, we've got to get Mr Gacky doing something. And I'd heard of a group in Swansea called Pensioners Action. So I took Mr Gacky along and, well, it's just a load of old people sitting around watching television, really. I hadn't realised that inaction was one word. Not two. Mind you, I don't get a lot of exercise myself. Years ago, I used to go 10-pin bowling, not because I particularly liked bowling, but because you could get a pair of shoes there for £1, you know. No, I never liked exercise very much, apart from one thing. One thing I really liked, cycling. Oh, when I was little, I really wanted a bike. So I told my dad, and before long, there he was, at a busy junction with my hand out, indicating to turn right. Didn't have a bike. You know, I was just standing there, you know, with my arms sticking out with a big line of traffic behind me. But my dad thought it was important to know what to do if I ever did get a bike. Which I didn't. Because I was run over so many times, the police asked Halfords not to sell me one, so... Yeah, so apart from running away from Gary Price, I didn't really get any regular exercise till I started at big school. Oh, then... Well, I still remember our first PE lesson. We went into the James. We weren't allowed to call it gym until we knew it better, you know. And the PE teacher, Mr Nasium, he was there and he said... He was there and he said, right, oh, boys, get changed now, but I didn't have any shorts, so he put me on the short list. OK. Well, we all had to line up, and he said, now then, who's right-handed and who's left-handed? And I had to say, please, sir, I'm neither of those. I got 2 hands. And he looked at me there, he said, ah, yes, Siadwel, which hand do you use to wipe your bottom? I said, please, sir, I do use my hand. I use paper. Yeah, I know. By the way, I know some people these days use wet wipes, don't they now? And if you use wet wipes, you shouldn't put them down the toilet. In fact, no, don't use wet wipes. Use Welsh wipes. Or dock leaves, as they are also known. No, because it was in the news recently. If you do flush the wet wipes down, the same thing will happen to them as happened to old Mr Gacky's false teeth when he flushed them down the toilet. Yes, because what happened was, the morning after he'd done it, feeling a bit sad because his teeth had gone, Mr Gacky went for a walk along the beach. Blow me down. There were his teeth. Washed up on the sand. And they were his, because he popped them straight into his mouth just to check. Anyway, point of the story is, when Mr Gacky found the false teeth, they were biting onto something. It was the wet wipe being flushed down at the same time as the teeth. So there we are. As I said, better off using Welsh wipes, yes. Anyway, PE. Everybody hated PE, but the only way out of it was if you gave Mr Nasium a note from your mum. And the only person who ever had a note was Gary Price. £10 note. Don't think it came from his mum either, no, because Gary ran a protection racket. Selling condoms to the 6th form on a Friday afternoon. Yeah, I think they were offcuts from the factory, you know. Well, Welsh condoms made by a company called Sperm Whales. I don't know if you remember them. Yeah, I don't know if you remember. The condoms were called lifeboats. And they'd got a little slogan. In a lifeboat, you'll always arrive safely. No, I still don't know what that means. And Gary Price sold them 2 for 1 and 9 or 3 for 2 and 6. On 5 bob, you could have what he called a party 7. Or, if you couldn't afford to buy one outright, you could rent it for the weekend. He made a fortune. But PE, I was saying about PE, physical education. And it was an education which started in the changing room, actually, when I discovered I was different to the other boys. I was the only one wearing his granddad's underpants. Yeah, no, because when Grandad died, almost his last words were, Siadwel, I'm leaving these underpants to you because they're my lucky underpants. He said, wearing these pants, I was never once arrested by the police. Not wearing them, I was arrested loads of times. Lucky pants. Yeah. Oh, he's a great man. Grandad, great man. I know I'll never be able to fill his shoes, but I think, well, at least I can try to fill his pants. Yeah. No, you know. I was very close to Grandad, closer than to my dad, really. My dad was more of a foster father. You know, he drank a lot of Australian lager. Do you know what I mean? But Grandad, no. You know, Grandad always had time for me. He taught me things. We'd go for a walk in the park, sit down on the little hill overlooking the nurses' hostel. He had me in the binoculars. I'd say, Siadwel, second floor, third window from the left. I learned a great deal. Of course, another reason people do exercise is so that they look good. But if you want to look good without doing the exercise, Llansamlet is the place to go. No, because everybody knows you can get anything you want in Llansamlet. And that includes cosmetic surgery. No, the man you have to see is Dr. Mallard. It's quack doctor, obviously. Yeah, but because he's never pretended he's a real doctor, people trust him because he's honest about his complete lack of qualifications. He offers several procedures as the Llansamlet facelift. Set you back £7.50. What happens? He sits you down in a chair, and when you're not looking, he tips a bucket of ice cubes down the front of your trousers. Oh. It does work. And you suck your tummy in as well, so it looks like you've lost half a stone as well. Yeah, it doesn't last very long, but it's just long enough to go for a job interview or something. And as long as nobody notices the big wet patch on the front of your trousers, you'll be okay. He doesn't do Botox. He says he's got something better than Botox. I said, are you talking Bollocks? He said, yes, I am talking Bollocks. So that's cosmetic surgery. Not for everyone. Gravel, my girlfriend, would never bother with it. She's not known for her looks. It's her looks she's known for, if you know what I mean. Put it like this. You wouldn't want to be on the end of a 1,000-mile death stare from Gravel, really like that, yeah? Just like the Gorgon from Greek mythology. If the Gorgon looked at you, you turned into stone. So they call Gravel the Gorgon from Glamorgan. Oh. Most of the time, she's quite friendly, you know. If she sees a man who's just her type, that's basically all of them, really, you know. She'd go up and talk to him. The chat-up line in the pub is, what's got 2 legs and flies? The decomposing body of the last man who didn't buy me a drink. Oh, nobody likes a good laugh more than Gravel. She makes sure of that, yeah. Anyway, I was round at old Mr Gacky's the other day, helping him to get dressed, helping him to get into his waders, you know. Because, no, he won't leave the house without his waders on. What he says is, with waders, what's outside your trousers stays outside your trousers. And what's inside stays inside. Yeah, because years ago, he had the misfortune to have a brief relationship with Gravel's grandmother, Anthracite. Yeah. And he's afraid if she catches sight of him, she'll try something, you know, manhandle his manhandle or something like that. But with his waders, he's safe. And you have to be very careful what you say to him, because anything can set him off. While I was getting the waders on him, I was struggling with one of the zips, and I said, oh, bear with me, Mr Gacky, while I just... He said, what? You've got a bear with you? He'll eat me, man. Quick, $4.99 now for the police. I said, no, Mr Gacky, it's all right. By the way, it's $999 for the police. Before $99, you just get an ice cream with a flake in it. One of Mr Gacky's main worries is that somebody will break into the house and steal everything. And he knows he's worrying about something that probably won't happen, so he's had a false alarm fitted. Yeah, only goes off when he's not being burgled. He told me once he hoped he'd die at 93. I said, why do you want to die at 93? He said, that's where I live. Because where you live is special, isn't it? There was Mr Gacky's friend, Alf, who didn't want to die in hospital because he wanted to die at home. And he did. He was murdered in the front garden when he was putting the rubbish out. Well, terrible, but it's what he would have wanted. In a way. Yes, actually, talking about crime, what's a policeman's favourite pudding? Bananas in custody. Oh! That's it, cheerio. Hey. Right, Joe, well, that one was called Old Mr Gacky. Oh, Neville, what are you doing here?
I got a joke for you, Shad. Do you want to hear it?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Here it is, Dan. Man walks into a bar. He's still in there. And the more he struggles to get out, the more he likes it. What do you think of that?
Oh, it's great, Gravel, and I'm sure the audience really like it too.
Yes, we also think it's great.
Good. That's all right, Dan. See you later, Shah.
Hello. My girlfriend, Gravel, had some photographs done recently. She was posing naked with lobsters and shrimps and things like that. It was pornography, that's the only word. No, she did it for the Western Mail, not the newspaper, the other one. The men's magazine for Haverfordwest and Fishguard. That one, yeah. No, she needed the money. Needed the money because she lost her job at Gwilym's Savoury Products. You're working on the production line for Cheesy Feet. No, because what they do, they get the chicken's feet, boil them in fat till the toenails drop out, and after that, they're cheesed off. And that was Gravel's job, pulling the cheese knob. So. But they stopped making the feet, because too many people got athlete's foot after eating them. So Gravel's been made redundant, and you can't get a bag of feet anymore. And they were very popular. I mean, how many people in Wales haven't had a cheesy foot? You know? You can count them on the fingers of one hand. None. That's one hand after quite a nasty industrial accident, obviously. Yeah. Speaking of which, industrial accidents. No, they do have quite a few industrial accidents at Gwilym's. In fact, in the grounds of the factory, they have the tomb of the unknown employee. Who years ago fell into one of the machines and they could never work out who he was. So every year they have a memorial service and the company bugler plays the last pasty. It's very moving. Well, actually this week I went to the funeral of somebody who'd worked at Gwilym's. Wasn't much of him left, but all the body parts he'd lost in various machines over the years had been presented to him on retirement, so I think probably a fair bit of him was actually in the coffin, you know. And when the service was over, I went up to the relatives. They didn't know me. And I said, my thoughts are with you at this difficult time. And they said, actually, we'd rather they weren't, if you don't mind. Yeah. Anyway, after the funeral, I went round to see old Mr Gacky, because he likes hearing about other people being dead. And also, he's looking for good ideas for his own funeral. Thinking outside the box, he calls it. Oh, because when you're in the box, a bit late for thinking then. Oh. So I went in, he was in the kitchen, leaning over the sink. I said, you all right, Mr Gacky? He said, yes, I'm just straining a pea. No, because, you know, pensioner, can't afford lots of fruit and veg. Sometimes they go round, he's got soup down his trousers. I can see the bulge where the bowl is. Because he's keeping it warm for later, you know, he can't afford to throw it away. Obviously, he can't afford to go out much, you know, so he stays in and watches the telly, and I watch it with him sometimes. I must say, there was a very interesting science programme on the other day where they were saying that the universe is expanding. And Mr Gacky said, yeah, I think they're probably right, because it certainly takes him a lot longer to get to the front door these days. Yeah, but it's pretty quiet at Mr Gacky's. I think of it as a place where anything could happen. But doesn't. Actually, no. The one thing we both really look forward to. You know how there are Swiss cuckoo clocks? Well, Mr Gacky's got a Welsh sausage clock. Yeah, Gwilym's Savoury Products make them. And every hour, on the hour, the doors open and a Gwilym's bowel sausage pops out. No, if you're a pensioner, you've got to get a bit of fun where you can, isn't it? Mr Gacky goes to the post office to get his pension. There's the excitement of how long is the queue going to be today? And usually in the post office they have 3 cashiers, unless it's very busy. Then they have 1. No, you don't have much money when you're on a pension. But Mr Gacky never had very much money anyway, not in his line of work. Ah, yes. If you were in Swansea 30 years ago, Mr Gacky probably sold you a Welshman. The newspaper, not an actual Welshman, no. No, he had a stall in the high street. He was the one shouting out the newspaper headlines. And, there was some great ones, some real classics. I remember one that went, "Last right's ringer who rang wrong ring blames wrong ring." Oh. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a bell ringer at a funeral who rang the wrong bell because he slipped on a ladder that had been tampered with by a ring of church ladder criminals. Unbelievable, isn't it? Couldn't make it up. Oh, another good one he shouted out was, "Doctors say bottom half is left behind." Which wasn't about a buttock somebody forgot to take with them. It was about poorly paid people having quite poor health. Something Mr Gacky knows quite a lot about. And there was another quite famous headline. Here it is. "Number of men visiting prostitutes blown out of all proportion." Never really understood that one myself, but did cause quite a stir at the time, I must say. Mr Gacky hasn't sold papers for years now, so he's just got his pension and his savings to live on. And pretty much the only savings he's got is a 10-bob note he found halfway up St David's Passage in 1958, No, in those days, 10-bob was worth having. We certainly have made 10-bob go a long way up St David's Passage, I know that much. By the way, for younger listeners, 10-bob was 10 shillings. If you think of half a crown and multiply that by 4, that's 10 bob. If something cost 8 to 9 and you paid with 10 bob, you get 1 and 3 back. Hope that's cleared it up. The old money had character, didn't it? There was a boy at school, we used to call him 1 and 6, because his name was Bob Tanner. Modern money hasn't got names, it's just numbers. I found out what a billion is the other day. Yes, a billion is a million when you've got a cold. I used to have lots of colds when I was little. Anyone remember the first time they blew their nose? Because it's quite a thing, isn't it, when you're little, learning how to do it properly. In fact, it made such an impression on me, I wrote a poem about it, a haiku. It's called Mastering the Mucus. It is. Lots of snot blows out, and then I check my hanky. There is no hanky. Oh, yeah. No, in the excitement, I forgot my hanky. But children don't mind that. Well, boys don't anyway. Know how sweet manufacturers make sherbet lemons? Well, Gwillim's unsavoury products, that's the ones who do sweets. They used to make sherbet flemons. Sherbet flemons, they were disgusting, but we loved them. By the way, I should say, with Gwillim's, that a lot of people do worry about GM foods these days. But with Gwillim's, it's all right. None of the animals used in their products have been genitally modified. No, the only thing that happens to the genitals is they go into this big mincer. And then they come out as a sort of paste. Which could be anything, really. And that's why Gwillim's advertising slogan is, because you don't know what's in it, you can enjoy it. Yeah. Another thing Gwillim's do is Gwillim's savoury pet products. All the ingredients are sourced from dead pets. So there's hamster jam, made of hamsters. And there's a company now called Whiskers that makes cat food. Well, Gwillim's cat food is made out of actual whiskers. And their dog food is made out of the rest of the cat. It's called Pussy. Pedro would eat it all day if I let him. No, he's eaten Gwillim's pet food since he was a little puppy. We used to have fun when we were both little. We'd go to the park. Gwillim's used to do a Welsh language ice lolly called an ice Eisteddfod. So anyway. On the way, I'd get one of them, and then in the park, I'd throw sticks for Pedro. It was great. Most of the time. One time wasn't so good, and I wrote a haiku about that. It's called Throwing a Stick for Pedro. Here it is. I pick up a stick. Oh dear, it isn't a stick. But it is sticky. Yeah, I tell you, if I didn't have bad luck, I don't think I'd have any luck at all. Oh. My first job after leaving school was in the park. Went there the first morning and the man said, "Morning, Siadwel. Hope you've got your wits about you. You're going to be working with some groundbreaking technology here." It was a shovel. Oh, no, because you know how when you're young and you start work somewhere new, they like to play little jokes on you. There's one place, first day, the charge hand said, "Oh, Siadwel, I just need a head for this saw. Will you go and ask the foreman to give you a saw head?" So I did. He gave me a clip round the ear. I couldn't believe it. He said, it's a joke. So he laughed then through the tears of pain, Oh, and there was another one when I started work at Look Right Clothing. You see their name written a lot on the road, that company. Yeah. So I went in on the Monday morning and he said, "Oi, Siadwel, here's a bucket of dog muck. Go out and collect some flies to sew on the trousers." Oh, and I did. I did all day. I walked around Swansea with that bucket. I didn't mind, because I like flies. I'd pet fly once. Tried to teach him to open the door. Didn't really work out, because he had a tendency to fly off the handle. Oh, go on. No, so you can imagine, I was a bit sad when I got back the other day and Gravel had just killed the blue bottle with a rolled-up Welshman. Not the newspaper, an actual Welshman. But she's very strong. But she keeps fit playing table tennis. Her opponents use a bat, she uses the table, she's very strong. And I found out the other day she's got a twin. Yes, she's twinned with the city of Hamburg in Germany. And they're not identical, but you can see, the similarities. They're both big and noisy and very popular with sailors, so... Oh, no, she does like the company of men. Yeah, I saw her once outside the Bargoed. No, it's a theme pub on the theme of, Bargoed, really. Yeah, and I saw her and she had a painter and decorator, 2 window cleaners and a roof tiler all going up and down her left leg. I said, "What's all that then?" She said, "Oh, I got a ladder in my tights." Oh, but there's a bit of good news with Gravel. I told you she'd been made redundant from Gwillim's. Well, she's just applied for another job there in their cosmetics division. Yes, because Gwillim's do cosmetics as well now. Of course, these days, another thing people worry about is whether beauty products have been tested on animals. But with Gwillim's, there's no need to worry. They have been. So anyway, now Gwillim's, for women, they've got a perfume called Cow. And for men, there's an aftershave called Pig. And the job Gravel's applied for is in quality control, smelling the products. And if there's one thing Gravel knows how to do, it's how to smell. So I hope she gets the job. Talking of which, I saw a man this week who obviously hadn't got a job. Poor chap, he was sitting in a shop doorway with a little cardboard sign saying, "Homeless, please help." So I told him where the nearest estate agent was. Do the right thing, isn't it? There we are then. Oh, a couple of things now. A couple of things I got. I just read today in the Welshman. That's the newspaper, not an actual Welshman. Oh. But I read last night. Somebody broke into a house, listen to their voice, and stole a hamster, a guinea pig, a cat, a dog, a goldfish, and a budgie. Police say it's the work of a petty criminal. I know, shocking, isn't it? Shocking. There's one more. A man who tried to strangle a mat maker at Llanelli Carpets has been told by magistrates that people shouldn't take matters into their own hands.
Welcome back to the Neville Road ground here at Tunbridge Wells, where Kent will start their innings leading 180 to 8.
It is an absolutely production for BBC Radio Wales.
Oh, Siadwel, you are hopeless.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Siadwel.
Siadwel, you're all white again.
Hello. Nan had the social workers round the other day because she was finding it incredibly difficult to get up the stairs. Straight away, they could see what the problem was. She lives in a bungalow. Yeah, no, it's one of those things, when someone's pointed it out, it's obvious, really, isn't it, And Nan was simultaneously delighted that they'd solved the problem, but also very cross, because of all the money she'd paid the window cleaner to do the upstairs windows. And I know the window cleaners, and Son. Yeah, no, they used to be called Anderson and Son, but he thought the sounded a bit indecisive, so he took it out. But, quite honestly, no, they're a disgrace to the mop and bucket, conning an old lady out of the money she's defrauded from Social Security. That's wicked. Social workers, though, great. They were very good with old Mr Gacky as well, because he had a problem where when he stood up, his feet didn't touch the ground. And the social workers went round, adjusted the braces on his trousers, and now he's fine. Yeah. Anyway, because of all the fuss, I popped round to have a cup of tea with Nan, and as usual, she'd got a Welshman spread out on the table. Oh, no, she likes to keep up with the news, And there's always some interesting stories. Sure enough, page 1, there's an article about the police being called to an old people's home in Llanidloes after some of the residents refused to take their afternoon nap. They've been charged with resisting arrest. And there was another one, quite a sad one, about a Swansea man who thinks he's a balloon, being told by doctors to stop giving himself blows to the head. Yeah, no, the man said he felt that medical staff had let him down. Then I had a look at the crossword, and of course Nan had done most of it, except for one clue. Gwilym's savoury treat, cooked in breadcrumbs. Starting with R, ending with soul. Then I got it. Rissole. Oh! Yeah, Gwilym's rissoles. I think my favourite thing is going into the chip shop, getting a portion of chips, a rissole and a pickled onion, and the man in the shop, he knows me. He holds up the pickled onion, he says, "Stick it in your rissole." And I say, "Yes, please." Because, no, I'm telling you, there's nothing better than a pickled onion in your rissole. Oh. I used to go to the chip shop on the way home from school. Not very often, because I couldn't afford it, really. Not like children today. Oh, I don't think they know the value of money, children today. When I was little, I got £1 a week, pocket money, and that was it. Maybe I'd buy a beezer, get a threepenny bit change. That might go on a bag of chips. Or I might save it till I got 1 and 6. Or even a couple of bob. Florin went a long way in those days. And then, if you're really, really lucky, you might get half a crown on your birthday. Yeah. Tell that to young people today, they wouldn't know what you're on about. Another thing I used to do on the way home from school was play catch with the others. The catch was, I was the ball. No, I didn't mind, because they needed the practice, Their throwing was good, but their aim was terrible. Oh, a number of fences I went over and windows I went through. And then, I'd come out of accident and emergency, and I'd go home and watch television. And Mum had strict rules about that. I could only watch if it wasn't switched on. No, because Mum only allowed the television to be turned on when we went out, so the burglars would think we were in. So because of that, I was a little bit out of touch at school. I'd hear somebody say, "Did you see Blue Peter?" And I'd think, "Oh, we got a coloured boy at the school now then." But most of the time I was out playing with my friend Wyn. He was great, Wyn. But Wyn had a really peculiar surname. A 2-week holiday in Torremolinos. He sounded like a competition. I don't know what Mr and Mrs. A 2-week holiday in Torremolinos were thinking, calling him Wyn. But when he got older, he did change his name because, apart from being peculiar, it was a bit long. So now he's called Wyn, a 1-week holiday in Torremolinos. Oh, another thing about Wyn, he had a speech impediment. He couldn't say his B's, so he'd say wasp instead. Because they do sound similar, So, for example, he could never say Justin Bieber. He has to say Justin Waspy Wasper instead. Yeah. But he was the fifth of 3 children, so, that must have had some sort of an effect, I suppose, Anyway, I was sitting next to Wynne when we did Aesop's Fables at school, and Miss was telling us about the race between the tortoise and the hare. And all I could think was, what a stupid idea. Then I thought of something. And I said, Miss, the tortoise can't win the race. And she said, why not? And I said, because the hare can always go on ahead. It was a joke. And then I thought of another one. The hare could take a shortcut. And I was laughing. And I thought of a really good one. But Miss said, I don't want to hear any more from you, Siadwel. Go and stand in the corridor. Nobody liked standing in the corridor. Because if the headmaster saw you, you'd get the stick. And everybody was scared of getting the stick. And the headmaster did see me. And I got the stick. And where he stuck me was underneath a desk, next to all the bogies and chewing gum. And then at 4 o'clock, the caretaker came round and scraped me off. Yeah, I don't know if anyone here has ever been scraped off. It's not very nice. But what was nice was that on our last day in junior school, before going up to big school, Miss let us have a fancy dress party. It was good. Gary Price came as a doctor. Well, he had a white coat on, and he was going up to people and saying, I don't think you are very well. And they'd say, no, I'm fine. And he'd punch them really hard and say, how do you feel now? And they'd say, oh, you're absolutely right, doctor. I don't feel very well. Yeah, Clive Watts was there. Everybody called him 5 Watts, because he's not very bright, But he came wearing a balaclava that he'd painted white. We said, what have you come as, Clive? He said, I'm a light bulb. Then Gary Price came up to me and said, hello, Siadwel. I got a costume for you as well. Here's the bill. Here's the walking stick. I said, oh, what am I then? He said, you're a lame duck, Siadwel. Yeah, but I'd already got a costume because I decided to come as the man who lives next door. It was quite hard, dragging the iron lung to school. But I think people were impressed, And the man next door, he didn't mind. Well, he didn't say anything anyway, so... And Gravel, my girlfriend, she came as Miss World. And she was really good. No, you could see all the continents and everything. And she was the right shape as well. So, and I was counting up all the countries, but I couldn't find New Zealand. So I said to Gravel, where's New Zealand then? And she showed me where it was. I was a bit embarrassed after that. So I got back in the iron lung for a lie down. So that was our last day at junior school. And the very last thing Miss said to me before I left was that every year I'd been there, I'd been bottom of the class. I was delighted. I hadn't realised my bottom was such a good feature. No, at last I felt I'd achieved something, and as I walked out of the gate with my head held high, I showed my bottom to the crossing patrol lady, who said she was glad to see the back of me. Which I took as a compliment, Because before we all left junior school, we'd all done 11 plus. For younger listeners, 11 plus wasn't a shoe size for somebody with an extra toe or something. It was an exam you sat when you were 11. Oh, here's a joke. Why do people sit exams? Because they can't stand them. Anyway, I wrote a poem about 11 plus, a haiku. Here it is, it's called Sitting the Exam. The 11 plus. Immediately, I'm stuck. 11 plus what? And I know some people said it was wrong for young children to take an exam and then, if they didn't pass, they'd be branded as a failure. But we weren't, We were all branded with the name of the school, but that was it. In secondary school, though, we had exams every year and people would say, oh, you've got to have a lucky mascot to take into the exam or you'll fail. And I hadn't got a lucky mascot, really. I did try to buy one once from a lady selling them at the fair, but she took one look at me and said, sorry, I haven't got anything strong enough. By the way, talking about fairs, Scrabble is the only person I know who looks normal in the Hall of Mirrors. It's funny that. Anyway, then I thought, no, I don't actually need a mascot because I'm naturally lucky for other people. Yeah, because what they'd say is, nothing bad will happen to us if Siadwel's here, because it'll happen to him. And it usually did. Oh. So I never got the lucky mascot to take into the exam. Gary Price did, though. In fact, he had 3. He had a can of petrol, a box of matches, and a photograph of the headmaster's house. And it worked. It worked. At secondary school, he never failed an exam. Yeah. Gravel always passed as well. Too big to fail, I suppose. There we are. You know, quite a tough school, though. St. Adolph's. School motto was teaching children a lesson they won't forget. And there was a lot of fighting. The teachers tried to stop it, but they couldn't help themselves. And of course, everyone was given lines. One boy was caught writing, "I must not write on the blackboard." On the blackboard. Oh, it's daft, isn't it? I mean, because he was telling himself not to do what he was doing while he was doing it. Oh, anyway, his punishment, this is even more weird, his punishment was that he had to write on the blackboard, I must not write on the blackboard, 100 times. But we did learn a few things, you know. In history, the Romans were in Rill, and they gave it its name. And Rill is the Roman word for, oh, I've just trodden in something. Yeah. And when I came home from school, Mum would always say, "Well, what did you learn in school today, Siadwel?" And one of the only things I could ever remember learning was too many cooks spoil the broth. And Mum said, "Oh, yeah? Did you learn that in English?" I said, "No, in the canteen." Yeah, but that was actually one of the most useful things I learned, because when I left school, I went to work at Gwillim's Savoury Products. Oh. Yeah, no, I liked Gwillim's because you got a sort of uniform, and if you worked on the production line, you got to wear a hat as well, so that flakes of skin and hair didn't go into the pies until they got to the hair and skin flake section. And it was all right. No, because the selling point with Gwillim's is that there are no artificial additives. If you get a toenail or a bit of earwax, it's the real thing. Yeah. Anyway, I went round to see Nan after work the other afternoon, and first thing I noticed were the windows. They were spotless. I'd never seen them so clean. And I said to Nan, "Oh, windows are nice and clean, Nan." And she said to me, "No, Siadwel, they are not nice and clean. What it is, they are not there." She'd had all the glass taken out. She said, "Siadwel, now I will never need to bother with the window cleaner again. Quite honestly, glass is just a pain." Well, there we are. Cheerio. Right, that one was called A Little Learning.
Hello, Siadwel. What do you break now, are you?
Oh, hello, Nan. Yeah, well, sort of, you know, in the middle, yeah.
That's right, that's right. I brought you a nice snack to keep you going. Lovely sandwich of Nan's bottom scrapings.
Oh, Nan, you shouldn't have.
Yes, well, I know how much you likes the scrapings off the bottom of the pan when I done a bubble and squeak. So I thought I'd slap it in a sandwich. And I put a bit of wood in as well for a fidge.
Oh, Nan, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I know you don't. All right, I will stop. I don't want to be late for the Nearly Dead Club.
Bye.
Yeah, cheerio.
Okay, right. This one's called Health and Safety. Hello. The other day, I met a man who told me he'd got 2 small children. I said, "Don't worry, if they're too small, they will get bigger." No, children do, don't they? I mean, if they eat the right things. You know, Nan used to say, "Come on, Siadwel, eat your greens." And I did. Didn't much like sandwiches with green bread, but didn't want to disappoint Nan, you know. After tea, Dad take me to the playground, and I'd go on the swings and then slide, and he'd say, "Now, Siadwel, would you like to go on the roundabout now?" And I'd say, "Oh, yes." The thing about the roundabout is it's very difficult to get off. In fact, usually I'd have to wait till the rush hour was over before I could, do it then. Because you have to watch yourself with traffic. Old Mr Gacky, he had a nasty experience with traffic. He was outside Halford's. He'd just been in to buy a bike lock. He hasn't got a bike, but he thinks, we can't be too careful. So he was outside Halford's, and all of a sudden, Shovel, who's Gravel's big sister, she walked up and exposed herself to him in the street. Poor old Mr Gacky thought he was being attacked by two skinheads. Yeah, he thought they were after the lead in his surgical boot. He was so terrified, he threw himself under a bus. But, as luck would have it, it was the one that goes past his house and it dragged him all the way home. So there we are. Oh, he's all right. But he was a bit shaken up. He'd lost the toe of his boot. And the bus driver made him pay for the entire journey because he didn't see where he got on. Yeah, nasty. It was a nasty accident. And they did phone for the ambulance. So, the next day, when I heard Mam say, "Oh, Siadwel, you've had a little accident, haven't you?" I knew what I had to do. And when the ambulance arrived, they came in and they said, "Who called the ambulance?" I said, "I did." They said, "Where's the accident then?" And I showed them. When they saw it, they were so angry I had another accident. No, after that, for quite a long time, I was scared of, medical practitioners. So if I wasn't very well, I wouldn't go to the doctor. I'd go to the fishmonger. Yeah, no, I'd tell him why I was there, and he'd say the special words. "If this works, it'll be a miracle." And I'd stand in a bucket of eels. He was a faith healer. Yeah. No. Next door was a faith butcher. He cured meat. Yes. Now, I know, you say, "Oh, come on, all that stuff is daft." But it's no more daft than going into hospital and they give you an anaesthetic to make you go to sleep. When you wake up, they say, yeah, we've done the operation." How do you know? You only got their word for it. Anyway, I managed to avoid doctors for years and years, but eventually I got something so serious I had to seek medical help. What it was, I wasn't enjoying St. David's Day anymore. Yeah, March the 1st, I'd go along, same as everybody else, in Swansea to watch the Archbishop of Llansamlet, the mostly Reverend Siadwel Series, leading the big procession, but I wasn't enjoying it. So I went to see Dr. Meddig. Funny, all the doctors there are called Dr. Meddig. Anyway, Dr. Meddig, yeah, he did some tests, and basically, I was deficient in vitamin... the Welsh vitamin. So the doctor said, "Don't worry, easy to put you right." He said, "Siadwel, do you like fat tarts?" Of course, they love fat tarts. Everybody in Swansea loves fat tarts. So Dr. Meddig said, "That's good." He said, "Every day, make sure you have a Gwillim's fat tart. Or any Gwillim's savoury product will do, because they're all very Welsh. They've all got lots of vitamin. Get a sheep's eye pie, made with sheep's eyes. That'll see you through the week." Just goes to show how important it is to eat the right things. My girlfriend now, Gravel, she worries about her weight. She's not obese. You know how the moon makes the tide go in and out? Well, in the same way, it makes her tummy go from one side to the other. And with some people who are a little bit overweight, it's something you can't talk about, isn't it? It's the elephant in the room, No, but with Gravel, it's not like that. There's no elephant in the room, because she ate it. No, of course, she didn't. Well, she couldn't, because it wasn't there, was it? Because it's a figure of speech. There's no elephant, and there isn't a room. Or there might be a room, but there doesn't have to be, and there definitely isn't an elephant. Yeah. And the elephant, who isn't there, is what everyone's not talking about. Because nobody wants to talk about him. Not because he isn't there, because if he was, they would, In fact, thinking about it, the elephant in the room is anything except an elephant in the room, because if there was an elephant in the room, I can guarantee it wouldn't be the elephant in the room, would it? Do you know what I mean? Good. Well, I'm glad you sorted that one out. Right. Anyway, Gravel is not obese. No. All the same, she is always trying different diets, Weight Watchers, Atkins diet, all that. But the one she's really stuck with, the one she likes, is the 5-2 diet. When it's 5-2, she has something to eat, yeah. Works for her. And she does take her health quite seriously. I mean, well, she has to, the amount she smokes and drinks, so there you go. Oh, smoking. I mean, apart from anything else, it really does muck up your teeth. You know those blue tablets you put inside the toilet system? She sucks them as a breath freshener. Anyway, she had to go to the dentist to have some teeth out. Oh, dear. Blood everywhere. In quite a bad way for days afterwards. That was the dentist. No, Gravel was fine. Some bruising on one knuckle. But that was it. I think the dentist lost more teeth than she did. So the weight and the smoking, they're issues for Gravel, but the real problem is the drinking. And she was pretty worried about how it was affecting her health, because she'd noticed that after about 28 pints of lager, she couldn't walk. And then one evening, she was in the pub talking to this really nice man from the Salvation Army. He said, look, try not drinking. Gravel wasn't too sure about that. He said, no, look at me. He said, I don't drink. I can walk now, and I'm going to walk home. And he did. But it killed him. She ran him over on the way home from the pub. Anyway, the pub she drinks in is the Bar Dylan Thomas. Called that because years ago they did. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's a real spit and sawdust pub, although why anyone would want to drink spit and sawdust is beyond me. There you go. It's quite rough. They don't have a happy hour. Unhappy hour they have, yeah. And she drinks with a man they call 4 the 5. Yeah, it makes more sense in Welsh. Pedwar the Pimp. Yes, he owns the Welsh language brothel in Llansamlet's red light district. Although you've got to be quick, because it goes back to green again after about 15 seconds. Yeah, so I was in the pub last week, and there was Pedwar the Pimp with a furious man shouting at him that he wanted his sex change. Apparently, that's the money you get back if you pay with a £10 note. And Pedwar the Pimp and Gravel were talking about a Welsh language adult film they'd seen, Arglwydd y Cylchoedd, Lord of the Rings. They did tell me what it was all about, but I couldn't get to the bottom of it. No, but the amazing thing is the star of the film is someone I was at school with. Willy-nilly. Oh, William Nilliam, his real name is. But the fantastic thing is, he told me he could get me a part in his next film. Nymphomaniac Nurse, it's called. I don't know what part of the world nymphomania is, but... No, I'm really looking forward to it, but what I'm really looking forward to is Nan seeing it. Because she'll be so proud. And I'll be able to say, there you are, Nan. You didn't think I had it in me, did you? Yeah, I went to a funeral today. Somebody else I used to know at school. Glyn Neath. He wasn't from Glyn Neath. He was actually from Bryn Aman. And funnily enough, Glyn's best friend was Bryn Aman, who comes from Glyn Neath. Oh, mad, isn't it? Like somebody made it up. Oh. Anyway, they had the ceremony at the Church of St. On the gravestone, lovely poem on the gravestone. When I'm gone, fear not to speak of me, because I'll be back in half an hour with something nice for tea. Oh. No, and it is sad, because he had just popped out to Gwilym's in Llansamlet to get something for tea, and on the way home, he choked to death on a savoury product. Yeah, Gwilym's sheepside pie, eyeball stuck in his throat, and that saw him off. Well... And as a mark of respect, no, this is nice, as a mark of respect at Gwilym's, they held a minute's silence. And because Glyn was a Welsh speaker, they had another minute's silence in Welsh as well. Well, they always have a minute's silence when one of their products kills somebody. The funny thing is, people like things that are dangerous. You know, smoking, driving too fast, going to Rill on a Saturday night. You know, any night really in Rill. And these things become hip. And Williams' favourite products have gone like that, you know. What started it was when people saw that famous photograph of Zita Catherine Jones pouting with a Williams bowel sausage in her mouth. Everybody knew then Williams are cool. Of course, old Mr Gacky's got a copy of that photograph because he absolutely loves Zita. You know, he doesn't like to say that she's his heroine because he's afraid he might become a drug addict. But, and his hero is a man called Dai Horribly. He's even got a statue of Dai Horribly. And Dai Horribly, of course, is, everybody knows, he's the health and safety expert who invented the fire exit. Because he didn't want people to die horribly, really, you know. But the tragic thing is, Dai Horribly did in fact die horribly. A van reversed over him as he was talking to some children about road safety. And of course, the van was owned by Gwillim's favourite products. Well, yeah. So Mr Gacky's got a statue of him. It's a pity that the statue of the man who invented the fire exit is right in front of the back door, so if there's a fire, Mr Gacky can't actually get out. That's life, isn't it? Or death. If there is a fire. Mr Gacky did say to me once, Siadwel, my ambition is to live forever. So far, so good.
Cheerio. Siadwel was written and performed by John Sparks and produced by Pete Bakey. It was an Absolutely production for BBC Radio Wales.
Oh, Siadwel, you are hopeless.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Siadwel.
During the war, Grandad was in the Navy. But after the war, he left the Navy. And he was really sad. Really unhappy, you know. He had post-naval depression. Oh. Yeah, I was in the park today. I was thinking about Grandad, because he used to spend a lot of time in the park. Mainly in the bushes. Particularly the ones on a little hill overlooking the nurses' hostel. I asked him once why he did it. He said, Siadwel, I do it because I care. I care about the National Health Service. Because of that, I'm here every night with my binoculars, making sure the nurses are all right. No, he was a great bloke, Grandad. Everybody liked him. The police were particularly fond of him. Yeah. No, they were very impressed by his voluntary work with the nurses. Always dropping in for a little chat. They were about that, yeah. So anyway, I was in the park and I thought, it'd be nice to have some sort of memorial there to Grandad. You know, a bench, something like that. Because there are quite a few that have been dedicated to people, you know. There's a really lovely one in memory of Mr Special Thomas, with a poem on it, which goes like this. He loved to feed the squirrels here and watch them as they play, until one day they bit him hard and took his nuts away. Anyway, I saw the park keeper and I asked him about a bench in memory of Grandad, and he said, well, actually, I won't tell you what he said, but he didn't want to be reminded of Grandad, was the gist of it. So there's no bench. Grandad did leave a stool, but not a very nice thing to be remembered by, really, is it? No, he wanted to be something impressive, like where the nurses work, at the Dim Ysmygu Memorial Hospital. Dim Ysmygu, of course, as I know you all know, the man who invented the no smoking sign. It's odd, because in other countries nobody knows who he is. But in Wales, he's celebrated. His name is everywhere. So even though we don't know anything about him, they built the Dim Ysmygu Memorial Hospital to honour the mysterious Welshman who did so much to stop people enjoying themselves. Yeah. Uncle Nog was in the Dim Ysmygu last year for an operation. And you know how, after an operation, they count up the instruments to make sure none had been left in the patient? Well, they did. And one had. It was the anaesthetist's trumpet. I don't know why he was allowed to take it in. You know, although I suppose an anaesthetist, once the patient's asleep, you've got nothing else to do, really. Get a bit of practice, I suppose. Anyway, they left it in there. And now if Uncle Nog breaks wind, he sounds like Louis Armstrong. Lovely man. No, he's a lovely man, Uncle Nog. He'll do anything to help other people. Always give up his seat on the bus. Although, in the end, he had to stop doing it because he was the driver, you know, so... No, he's the complete opposite of someone like Gary Price. If anyone ever asks him to give up his seat on the bus, he'd say, I can't, because I got wooden legs. They wouldn't get up until I get to my stop. He thinks that sort of thing is funny. So I went to visit him, and, you know, nobody likes being in hospital, but, you know, he's Uncle Nog, so he made the best of it. The man in the bed next to him, well, he was in a terrible state. He was complaining about the food. He didn't like the colour of the nurses' uniforms. Wasn't impressed by the view out the window. Doctor said he was critical. And the man in the bed on the other side, well, there was a right old fuss. Because he'd got Munchausen syndrome. And Munchausen wanted it back. He was absolutely furious, shouting, swearing, all that. Though I was worried he was going to upset Uncle Nog, but it was okay, because Uncle Nog is bilingual. He just switched to listening in Welsh, so he was up. But the saddest sight on that ward was the old gentleman in the bed opposite, who was really poorly, and I thought, oh dear, not long for this world. And all the times I was there, he never once had a visitor. I thought, well, if ever there was another human being in need of a kindly word, it's that old gentleman. So I went over to his bed and I said, hello, my name's Siadwel. And he opened his eyes and he looked at me with such sadness that I could see he was trying to speak. So I leaned in really close and he whispered into my ear so quietly I could hardly hear, F off, Siadwel. I went home then. Next day, he wasn't there. I asked the nurse where he was. He said, oh, he's dead. No, it's funny. It's funny because he was getting better. We think something must have upset him and he had a heart attack. And she said, you didn't see anyone talking to him, did you? And I said, no. I didn't see anyone talking to him. That's why I started talking to him. And then she looked at me. She looked at me the way you'd look at a woodlouse on a Welsh cake. Yeah. She said, what did you say to him? I said, hello, I'm Siadwel. And she said, oh, you didn't say hello to him? He had halitosis. He was allergic to people saying hello. Then she said, I'm going to give you some medical advice, Siadwel. Get out. And as I was going, I noticed that the bed opposite Uncle Nog had got a new patient in it, another old gentleman, and he was quite friendly. He said, hello. I told him to F off. It's for his own good. Oh. The other evening, I was walking up to the church of St. And I came round the corner, and there, in huge, glowing letters, I suddenly saw the words, one way and only one way, with the Lord. It was a sign. One-way sign, actually, yeah. Yeah, years ago, I used to be a bell ringer, but I stopped doing it because I got fed up with people slamming doors in my face, you know. But I do like St. No, he wasn't what you'd call a handsome man. In fact, he got his name because is what people used to say when they saw him. But he was a lovely man, like Uncle Nog, very kind, did a lot of work The poor looked after the sick. Although why anyone would want to look after sick, I can't imagine. Another thing about him, he didn't particularly like the English. It was a spiritual thing. He said they didn't treat the immortal soul with as much respect as the Welsh did. As he said, our souls to the English, the same as souls to the Welsh. I don't think so. But the thing he's famous for, and this is quite extraordinary, he's famous for actually rescuing a woman from a bear. As he said afterwards, if I hadn't stopped him, that bear would have eaten her whole. But fortunately, before he did that, I was able to pull him off. Oh, he's a brave man. Anyway, as I was saying, I went up to the church of St. and it was Harvest Festival. The people, they don't donate very much. 2 cans of lager, a packet of crisps, that's about it, usually, But having said that, in pride of place on the altar, and specially made for the occasion, was a Gwilym's hot cross bum. They don't waste any part of the sheep. Yeah. Oh, they always have a Gwilym's savoury product, because they sponsor the Harvest Festival, And the vicar, the Reverend Harry Looyah, he gives them a mention in the sermon, This year he did a poem, which I'll read to you now. It is. Jesus fed 5,000 people with several loaves and fishes, but how much nicer it would have been with some Gwilym's savoury dishes. They all sat down for the Last Supper before Judas did something nasty. Perhaps he wouldn't have been so mean if they'd had Gwilym's savoury pasties. Then Jesus was upon the cross. They thought he must be dead. But 3 days later, he rose again, like Gwilym's savoury bread. Oh, yeah, no, very, very community-minded company, Gwilym's, and very generous donor to charity as well. In fact, if any member of staff dies in an industrial accident at the factory, they know that their clothes will be donated to a jumble sale. So, that's nice. And that must be a great comfort to anyone going feet first into the sausage chopper. And talking of charity, do you remember Midge Ure? Yeah, the pop singer? Did a lot of work for charity, Midge. And not many people know this, but it was a visit to Wales that started him off and all that. Yeah, because he'd heard about Rill. But he wanted to see if it was actually true. It was. And when he was there, he saw there was a charity which had been set up to work with the people of Rill. And the concept of the charity was with a little bit of help, the people of Rill would be able to sort themselves out. So the charity was called Relief. With the slogan, giving people in Rill a hand to relieve themselves. And that's what gave Midge Ure the idea for everything he went on to do. Of course, most of his charity work was helping people in Africa, because he thought, I haven't done this before. I'd better start with something a bit easier than Rill, But the interesting thing is, despite everything he saw in Rill, something really impressed him. It was the sense of community. How important family is. Everybody knew their family tree. In fact, many of them were still living in it. And Midge cared. Midge cared about the people of Rill. He said, I would gladly have given them the shirt off my back if somebody hadn't already taken it. By the way, you've heard of the Turin shroud, it's the shroud that Christ was wrapped in and it left an imprint of his body. And it's in Turin. Well, in Rill, there's a similar thing with St. The Rill hanky. The story is, it was the hanky of St. And he blew his nose in it and left the imprint of a bogey. No, and they know it's his because everyone who's ever seen it has said, ugh. So there we are. No, I just thought I'd mention it anyway, because Midge Ure isn't his real name, by the way. No, his real name is Nat. But he changed it to Midge because he thought Nat sounded a bit too much like an insect. So. Anyway, after a couple of weeks in Rill, Midge needed a holiday. So he got his map out of Wales, and there was Rill right at the top, and he thought, I'll try the other end. And he just happened to see a brochure then which said, come to the bottom of Wales. It was a Barry Island. So... so he went, and he liked it, but while he was there, all anyone could talk about was Swansea. So Midge went to Swansea, and of course, he fell in love with it. As he said, Swansea is, in many ways, just like a beautiful woman. But at the same time, in many ways, it's not. No, in fact, Midge Ure liked it so much, he bought a pub in Swansea. Named it after himself, the Ure Inn. Yeah, and they do, at the pub, they do a lot of fundraising for charity, but the very first thing he did when he was there was raise money to give local pensioners a treat. And what they did to raise the money, everybody who'd been banned from the pub for fighting and all that had to pay £10 each. Then they wouldn't be banned anymore. They called it Band-Aid. Yeah, and that paid for a nice day out for over 65s. It was in the Welshman, the newspaper, on the front page. Swansea's urine drinkers splash out on pensioners' picnic. Here you go. Okay, that one was called Charity. I mean, Siadwel, when? Oh, Mr Gacky, halfway through now, yeah? Oh, that's right. Got a poem for you, for your programme. Oh, all right, the poem. Yeah, you're not the only one who can write poems, So it's a haiku. Foreign muck, in my opinion. But I know you like them. Here we are. It's called Death at the Day Centre. Heart attack it was. Oh dear, was he a smoker? No, he just went, ah! Oh, that's really good, Mr. Gacky. That's great. All right, that's it. I'll see you again later. Bye. This one's called I Don't Understand. I should have it on my coat of arms, really, shouldn't I? Hello. Okay. When we were in primary school, one of the first things I noticed was that Gary Price tattooed his own knuckles, but the pen had run out. So he'd got love on one fist and hat on the other one. Yeah, wasn't quite so threatening somehow. Still hurt, mind. So I told Miss that Gary Price was being nasty, and she said, Siadwel, before you criticise someone, you should walk a mile in their shoes. Next day I tried that. Got put in detention for stealing shoes. Now, no, the thing is, when I was little, I found it really hard to tell left from right. And the other way around. So, yeah. So there I was in detention, putting my own shoes back on and trying to get the right shoe on my left foot. And Miss saw me and said, no, Siadwel, for that foot, the left shoe is the right one and the right one is wrong. I said, so left is right? She said, that's right. But I was still confused, so Miss said, look, the left shoe is the right shoe for the left foot. After that, what's left is the right shoe. And that goes on the foot that's left, which is the right one. All right? But she could see that I still didn't understand. So she said, look, I'll tell you what, write right on the right shoe and left on the other one. But my spelling isn't very good and I wrote right wrong. I wrote left right. But unfortunately I wrote it on the wrong shoe. Although strangely, I'd written right on the right one, even though I'd spelt it wrong. I just didn't make any sense, although I'm used to that. Anyway, by now, Miss had had enough and she wanted to go home. So she said, Siadwel, just remember, half of you is left and half of you is right. But as she walked out, I definitely heard her say, quite quietly, and all of him is wrong. It's a funny thing, but at school, I learned to write before I could read. So when we had to, write an essay about what we did in our holidays, I didn't actually know what I'd written until Miss read it out. And this is what I'd written. Who's that? A balloon. Where's he going with that ladder? there's the fish van. Is that the squirrel? No. Miss said it was nonsense. But actually it was quite accurate, because I'd spent most of the holidays looking out the window. But once I'd learned to read, then I had to learn that in books, not everything you read is true. When we did nursery rhymes, I thought all the stuff in the rhymes, it really happened. So, Mary had a little lamb, his fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. I thought, oh, that's nice, that's really nice. But what happened when the lamb grew up? Yeah. There wasn't a rhyme about that. So I wrote one. Here it is. Mary had a fully grown ram. His fleece was covered in muck. And everywhere that Mary went, the ram was sure to have a physical relationship with another sheep. Yeah, because that's what they do, isn't it? But Miss said no. No, Siadwel, not in nursery rhymes, they don't do that. But there was one set of books I knew I could trust to tell the truth. Ladybird books. I only had one, the Ladybird book of Ladybird books. Which was basically just a list of all the ones I hadn't got, really. But then I joined the library. It's easy to do. No initiation ceremony or anything like that, you know. Wasn't like joining the Cubs where everybody spat on my woggle. Yeah. So I joined the library, and in the library, they'd got all the Ladybird books that I'd ever dreamed of. The one about skin diseases. Oh, I had to use Mam's sugar tongs to turn the pages of that one. The one about pesticides that are banned for agricultural use. One of my favourites, that was, actually. But my all-time favourite was their book of people from Rill. It was so scary, I could only read it if there was somebody else in the house, honestly. Yeah, and I'll tell you, another good thing about the library is that anywhere else in Swansea, you'd have to pay to look at a Welshman. But in the library, you can look at a Welshman for nothing. The newspaper, I mean, or an actual Welshman, obviously. No, because an actual Welshman, you wouldn't charge people money to look at him. Although, having said that, Grandad did have that thing a long time ago now, where for threepence, you could come in and watch him having a bath. But I think that was more to do with the bath than him, because it was the first one in Llansamlet, so there we are. Anyway, I started reading The Welshman because as I got older, I started to get interested in what was happening in the world. You know, although I don't think much ever did happen, because most of the news in The Welshman was about Wales, really. You know, I do remember once there was something about an American called John F. Kennedy being assassinated, which I must say sounds quite nasty, so I hope he got better. Another time there was landing, although they didn't say where it landed. And it seems to have gone back up, so I don't know what all the fuss was about, really. In fact, I used to wonder, why do other countries bother? Because nothing ever happens in them, you know. And Wales, though. Wales, there's always stuff going on. I mean, only this week, something happened in Felindrefachog. First time in living memory. So it was in The Welshman, front page. And there was another thing, a couple of days ago. A woman in Aberystwyth had married 2 men. So it was bigamy. Although one of the men was quite short, so it wasn't very bigamy. Yeah, actually, talking about not being very tall, there's a family in Swansea where all of them were born without any height. They've got no height at all. They live in a flat. They have to. No, I saw one of them the other day. Actually, no, now I think about it, it was probably a bit of carpet. Yes, anyway, I was just coming out the library the other day with a load of books in my bag, and the librarian stopped me and said, "Where are you going with those? I haven't stumped about." I said, "Oh, it's all right, I got it from the self-help section, so I just helped myself." I put them all back. Then he handed me a book and said, "Try this one, Siadwel. I always think of you when I see this one. It's really thick." So I read the book, and it was like the story of my life. I couldn't understand a single thing in it. Yeah, you know at school, in a school report where they say, could do better. Couldn't do better. That's what I used to get. I think Siadwel is a couple of wasps short of a picnic. That's another one I got. That sort of remark doesn't help, does it? I mean, I wrote a poem about it, a little haiku, here it is. It makes me quite sad. Germs know how to multiply. I can't even add. Yeah, maths. You know how people say it's as easy as 1, 2, 3? It isn't. I have enough trouble with 1. Never mind the rest of them. No, I'll tell you what I mean. Sometimes, right, you're doing adding up, and you add 1 more, and that's too many. Why isn't it 1 many? It should be 1 many. But isn't it too many? So sometimes 1 is 2. I don't understand it. It's too much. 3 much. You know, I was the only one in the class who didn't count. Miss told me. Mind you, I'm not the only one who had problems. When Miss was teaching us fractions, she asked, what do 2 halves make? And Gary Price said, a pint. Wasn't any better when she taught us to tell the time. Started off telling us about the clock. She said, right, the little hand is the hour hand, the big hand is the minute hand. Then the third hand is the second hand. You know, and at the end of the lesson, she said, right then, Siadwel, here's the clock with the numbers around the edge. What time is it? With the big hand is on the bottom. I said, Miss, is it time to run home and tell your mum? She gave up after that. Even now, I get confused about numbers, because they mean different things to different people. The other day, I asked my girlfriend Gravel, what do you get if you put 2 and 2 together? Wife swapping, she said. Yeah, you know how some people are bisexual? Trisexual, Gravel is. You try anything with anyone. Now, I don't for 1 minute suppose that anybody here has ever been to one of those kinky sex parties where... What is? Yes, all right. Somebody, Achavi, hope you washed your hands after. Anyway, for the rest of you, there are these kinky sex parties where everyone goes wearing leather or rubber or something. Now, Gravel was even further than that. Tupperware parties she has. Everybody has to wear plastic food containers with food in them. I stay well away, but as you can imagine, there's quite a mess in the morning, so I clean up, get the Hoover out. How it gets in there, I don't know. I don't want to know, really. But, you know, there are times when, weirdly, by getting things wrong, you actually get them right. And I'll give you an example. No, better still, I'll tell you what happened. This man stopped me in the street the other day. Then he said, oh, I'm very sorry. I've made a mistake. I thought you were somebody else. And I looked him up and down just to check. And I said, no, you haven't made a mistake. I am somebody else. Yeah. Oh, it was nice to see someone else look confused for a change. Yeah. Oh, you know, confusion was the one thing I was really quick to pick up at school. On the very first day, Miss said, now, if you want to say something, you must put your hand up. And I was confused because Miss didn't say what I had to put my hand up. So I put it up my jumper. It's the only thing I could think of, but Miss didn't take any notice, so I thought, I know, I'll put it up the jumper of the person sitting next to me. And that was obviously the right thing to do because Miss noticed that. In fact, I think everybody noticed that. And when Gravel, it was Gravel, when Gravel had finally stopped punching me, she whispered in my ear that she wasn't always this romantic on a first date. But she really liked me, and now I was her boyfriend, and we'd probably get married next year. So that was our first date. And you know, it's funny, isn't it, how the word date can have different meanings? You know, what's the connection between a romantic meeting and something small, brown and sticky? Well, now I know, because when I stood up to go out at playtime, there was something small, brown and sticky lying on my chair. Cheerio.
Siadwel was written and performed by John Sparks and produced by Pete Bateman. It was an Absolutely production for BBC Radio Wales.
Oh, Siadwel, you are hopeless.